Hey, guys, it's Michelle W. Kofer here, Dr. Michelle W. Kofer, aka the PivotHER, helping families pivot to prosper. And listen, today I wanted to come on and just share some simple things as what I call observations of why people are not building financial success. And so I can tell you that while I'm not a billionaire or trillionaire, and I'm not a documented millionaire, meaning consecutively have earned at least $1 million in 1 year, you are listening to someone who has, over the course of her career, earned millions of dollars in the work from home space. And when we start to think about why people aren't successful, as I was sitting here at my desk, I took down some notes and I wanted to just share some things with you. So hopefully you're open minded enough to watch this from the start to the finish. And in fact, if you're watching it and you're watching this on my YouTube channel, go ahead and like, share, and comment, because I plan on making the next 12 to 15 months very, very informative, very, very engaging for you to show you how to pivot to prosper. Sometimes you're going to see me, sometimes you're going to see me and my husband, but either way it goes, we want to get you in position. And I was sitting here getting ready to put this check you can see over my left shoulder, was getting ready to try to find a place to put that on the wall. And I was like, well, Michelle, you don't have no space. And I started to look at what covered the walls in my office. And many of them are vision boards. They're everywhere. Mental notes, their affirmations, their strategies, their charts that I've drawn out. The rest of the space is consumed with awards and things that accolades that I've received over the years, including that one right in the middle, right there where my finger is. That's my doctorate. But they're just covering the space. And I'm like, I don't have the space to put this check. But then it hit me, Michelle, you've had a measure of success. You've had a measure of success. Look there. These are vision boards. There. If you can see in front of me, there. If you can see over there in quadrants, there. If you can see this board right here, Q1, 2, 3, 4. So there are visions of success all around me. And because I've had a measure of success, I believe I can be even more successful. So my role today is to show you, to share with you some tips that will allow you to be equally successful and or greater, because that's the objective, right? And so I began to think about it, and I thought about it. Most people really don't have success because they don't decide to be successful. So that's the first principle, is you've got to make a conscious decision that where you are is not where you desire to be. Maybe you're already making six figures and maybe you want to make your first million. Maybe you're barely making $25,000 a year and you just want to make 50,000. But when it comes to finances, it has to be a decision, right? I'm a kingdom leader. So as a man thinketh, so is he. So whatever you focus on, whatever you decide in your heart actually becomes your reality. Those are biblical principles that highly successful billionaires and trillionaires have applied to their personal lives, and they're manifesting the things that unfortunately many kingdom people are just not grasping, because number one, they don't make a decision to be successful. 7 years ago, when I decided to get in the work from home space, I was broke. I was tired of being broke. I hated my financial life. My credit was in ruins. I had no savings account. I had multiple degrees now, but I had no savings account and I was flat broke. I had been through bankruptcy. I had literally lost a lot, and I decided enough was enough. So once you make a decision and you're persistent and consistent in driving in the direction of success, success is going to start to magnetize itself to you. So that is key. That's paramount, number one. The second thing, when I started thinking about it, I have a background in social work, psychology, all of these things here. And I started to think, based on what I've learned in my studies, cognitive behavioral therapy. The second thing is, most people aren't successful because they don't have thoughts or behaviors that drive them to success. Now, I'm not anywhere where I know God is going to take me. Not anywhere. No indication, even in my natural mind, of what He has in store for me, because I know it's big, big, big. But what I want you to get is this principle. Most people, cognitive behavior therapy, things that I learned as a social worker, have prepared me. Most people don't think they can become rich. And because they don't think they can become rich, they don't behave like they can become rich. There's a great book I would highly suggest to you reading if you're watching this. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. My first time reading that was a junior in college. I read it several times now in my adult life. And every single time I read that book, I'm empowered the more to know that mindset is the key to building wealth. So, number one, you got to decide you're going to be successful. Number two, you have to break down some of these behavioral and mindset barriers that have plagued you for years, and you have to be intentional. But number three, guys, is you got to develop a strong work ethic. There are too many people that want the handout mentality. They want the easy road. They want the, I want to be a millionaire overnight, so I'll scratch a lottery ticket. Or I want to be a millionaire overnight, so I see someone else's success, and if I feel like I get close enough to them, by default, I'll be successful. Your work ethic is everything. You're not just going to become highly successful financially or any area of life. You're not going to be successful in your marriage. You're not going to be successful in your ministry. You're not going to be successful at work, in your job, as a parent. You're not going to be successful at anything until you develop a strong work ethic around that. So you have to be intentional around, what am I doing to drive myself closer to the goal? And so nobody's going to give you anything. America is a capitalistic society. Hear me. Nobody's going to give you anything. You got to go work and get it, right? Nobody has given me anything except a direction to go in, except a hand up. But it was my responsibility to put my feet on the ground, put those boots on the ground and go to work. It was my responsibility to put my hand to the plow. So success doesn't happen to people if they're lazy, if they're lackadaisical, if they're slothful, if you will, right? So the Bible says, if you don't work, you don't eat. So if you don't put your hand to the plow while it's day, and then nighttime comes and you're trying to figure out why you haven't stored up anything, question your work ethic. That was point number three. Point number four is you got to see it. So you've got to have vision. Where there is no vision, people will perish. So when you start thinking about becoming highly successful financially, I'm talking about right now, you've got to see yourself there. I was telling a story just recently about how even as a little girl, I remember at least 5 or 6 years old, I would put my grandma's big brim church hat on and my little candy cigarettes, and I would stand on her back porch looking out over the fig tree, imagining that I owned a yacht, imagining that I was driving a luxury Jaguar, imagining that I owned a Bentley, imagining that I had this big lavish house with a circular driveway. Now, guess what? All of those things are not my reality, but I still see them as my reality. Even then, at 5 years old and 6 years old, they were not my reality. I lived in the projects. My mom was struggling with drug addiction. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, who was renting her home and who didn't work. So there was no example of wealth around me, but I could see it. Can you see it? Can you envision yourself massively successful from, I'm talking about from where you are today? Because if you can see it, it's possible. God won't give you a vision that he's not able to give you provision for. So many people aren't able to become massively successful in their finances because they just can't see it. So what I want you to do is begin to see it. Begin to believe that it's possible. Begin to make a decision today that you can have everything that you want. God delights in the prosperity of his people. He wants you successful. And so I want you to get that in your eyelids, and I want you to never, ever, ever stop thinking about what you see until you've actually manifested in real life. All right. Here's the next reason why people don't become successful financially, because they're just not disciplined. They lack consistency. They don't have time management. They're not organized. They don't have the ability to take what's in their head and put it on paper. Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision, make it plain, and though it tarry, wait for it. Meaning, if it doesn't happen overnight by osmosis, because success doesn't happen like that typically, every now and then, by coincidence, somebody will hit the lottery, but success typically doesn't happen to you overnight, right? You could be in a near fatal accident and get money, but if you don't know what to do with the money, then you just got money from a near fatal accident, and then probably in 2 years, you'll be broke again. So it's a mindset to this thing, but you also got to have the discipline to study, the discipline to read, the discipline to invest in yourself and invest in personal development, the discipline to say, hey, I need a PivotHER coach. I need someone to help me. Or it don't have to be me. It could be anybody, right? But you need to have the ability to discipline yourself around how I spend my money, where I spend my money, what I spend my money on, does it bring me back an investment? Do I get a return on that? Because if not, it's wasteful spending and it's not going to drive you to your success. The other thing about money, and this is another reason why people aren't successful with it, is because they don't know how to manage it. So this one right here, guys, is you got to learn how to live on the lean. You've got to create a budget and live within your means. Live on the lean, meaning live on less than. Learn how to distribute your money so that your money is growing in places. And even if you don't have but $20 extra a month, find a way to grow that money passively until now you can take 20 and grow it to 200 that you can put away, to 2,000 that you could put away, to 12,000, to 20,000, to 200,000. So find out ways that you can grow your money, right? And so you got to live within a budget. Too many of us are living for this inflated sense of personality through social media. We're living to please the Joneses. And what you don't realize is the Joneses are broke. The Joneses ain't got no money. The Joneses are on bad credit. The Joneses are trying to figure it out just like you, but you've been living your life to impress somebody who can never, ever write a check to you and say, hey, I wanted to sow this into you. So focus on your budget, managing what's coming in versus what's going out. You need more coming in that is going to put you in cash flow. So assets that you create will generate cash for you, and you utilize that cash to create more assets. And it doesn't have to be $1 million asset creating engine. You just need something that's creating dividends, something that's creating compounding effect on your money. There's several things you could do to be able to do that. Then this is the last of the next three, guys. Many people aren't massively successful because they refuse to take risks. They settle for the status quo. They're so comfortable being in the box. They don't challenge themselves. If you don't take some level of risk, you're never going to have success, right? Now, risk taking can be an interesting thing when it comes to building success, because some people will overly take risks. They'll just go too far in, invest too much, and they lose money. So you got to have discernment around where you take risk at when it comes to your finances, right? So you never want to be able to risk more than what you could afford. Meaning, if the amount I throw out there is going to wind up leaving me with nothing or leaving me homeless or broke, then that risk is too great to take right now. So if you invest $3,000 and then there's no emergency fund, yes, some, wealthy people might suggest that, well, if all you got is 3,000, you still broke. I beg to differ. If all you got is 3,000, you definitely shouldn't invest the whole 3,000, because you're putting yourself at 100%, well, not 100%, a 50% chance of winning and a 50% chance of losing. So you don't know which is which. So why not take a tenth of that? Why not take 300 and see if you can grow that to 1,000? And then take that 1,000 and grow that to 3,000, and take that 3,000 and grow it. So many people don't take risks, so they never succeed. And then some people are too much of a risk taker, and then they fail. And once they expend, I should say, they expend all of their financial resources and they have nothing left, they feel like a failure and they're afraid to get out there and go again. Last two right here. A lot of people don't have and maintain massive success is because they have a spirit of pride and they're not humble. One of my $1 million mentors always used to say, Michelle, stay humble so you don't have to be humble. And it's not that people will humble you, it's God will humble you. So you can go out and make a lot of money. I don't boast and brag about what God has blessed us with. One, because my work ethic may not be your work ethic. So I don't want you ever to assume that you could do what I do and you're not willing to put in the work, right? So that would be deceptive. So we don't want to do that, but we want to create equal opportunity for you to be massively successful. So how do we do that? Allow you to know that there are resources out there, but once you get it, the goal is to keep it and grow it, right? The goal is to make it bigger, make the money, and then make the money grow, right? And then, if you get puffed up and proud, God will humble you. Pride comes before destruction. So even if you've seen people who got a lot of money in their hands and then all of a sudden they don't have it anymore, somewhere in the milk there was a fly, and that fly was called pride, arrogance, and lack of humility. All right. So that is a key thing. And then lastly, guys, People don't understand simple ways that they can start to build wealth. You don't build wealth overnight. Rome wasn't built overnight. No Fortune 500 company was built overnight. When you look at the Elon Musk of the world, the Jeff Bezos, the Warren Buffetts of the world, they didn't build their wealth overnight. Beyonce, Jay-Z, they didn't build their wealth overnight. You saw them building. You saw them consistently grinding. You saw them evolving and growing. You saw their message becoming stronger and stronger and stronger in the marketplace until now they're recognized by everybody everywhere. So that's what you want. That's what you want. Just get started now, understanding that you can't quit 6 months in. You can't quit 1 year in. You can't even quit 3 years in. You can't quit the first time you fail. You have to get back out there and you have to keep going, like the engine that could, the little engine that said he could. You have to get out there and keep back going. I think I can. 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 Until that caboose is literally up and running. And so you've got to understand that, there are simple ways for you to grow your money: network marketing, direct sales, starting a side gig, getting uncomfortable, exploring your gifts, writing an ebook, writing a book, figuring out how to create a side gig. You're never going to get massively wealthy at a job. You can keep your job for 40 years and retire, and you're going to get retirement. It's going to be 40% of your income. Okay. If that. So you're never going to build massive success at your job. So if you believe your job is your freedom, I hate to be the one to disappoint you, but you're not going to pivot to prosper just by having a job. You need a job, and you need at least a business, and you need a passive stream of income, right? I didn't say you need 3 jobs, because see, 3 jobs won't give you the tax shelter that you need to start building wealth. So you need a job, and you need a side business, and you need a passive stream of income some kind of way. All right. So think about what I just said. Let that marinate. Guys, if you're on a serious journey to pivot to prosper, hashtag pivot to prosper if you found value in this, and then perhaps even share it with a family, a friend, or colleague. But more importantly, ingest what I just said. Take what I just said to heart. These are principles that, as I look back at my own personal financial journey, I realize, Michelle, you've grown. You're not where you're going. You're not where you need to be. You've helped a lot of people grow. I've personally helped several people make 6 figures, $250,000, $500,000 from home. But I'm ready to tell my first story of coaching somebody to $1 million in 1 year. I'm ready to tell my personal story of making $1 million in 1 year, not $1 million over time, in a year. So if you're watching this and you're ready to pivot to prosper, have an amazing opportunity where I would love to show you a simple way to access the real estate world for pennies on a dollar. And I would love to be able to show you how to start right there for a couple of $100, grow and scale that to 6 figures, no income claim. You got to put in the work. We got to be willing to work hard. Grow and scale that and leverage that income to diversify your portfolio and put money in different asset growing thresholds. It's time to pivot to prosper. This is your girl, Dr. Michelle W. Kofer. Until next time, like, heart, share, and we'll see you at the top. Take care.